to Creative Genius, the 21 Day series where we are going to unlock your creative freedom, your creative joy, and your creative magic. Today we're talking about creative voice. What does it mean to have a creative voice? A lot of the information that's out there is about finding your style or creating enough that you figure out like what you want to say or you figure out what you like to do. I have an interesting take on creative voice because I think about it a little bit differently. I think you've always had a voice, and I think you've always had something to say. And I think that the thing we have to figure out is that at what point did we stop believing our voice mattered? And at what point did you start believing you had to say it all a certain way in order to be heard? And at what point did you disconnect your voice from your body? When we talk about showing up online, because a lot of creatives want to share, a lot of creatives want to speak, a lot of creatives want to sell their art. So there's the creative voice that we have in our work, and then there's the voice that we have when we show up like I'm showing up in front of you. And one of the reasons that this feels so awkward, speaking to a camera and showing up and speaking as though there's nobody there, you're just looking at yourself. One of the reasons that feels so awkward is because what's coming out of your mouth doesn't match what you feel here. And my son asked me, I was teaching a class recently. He asked me, how do you just know what to say? You're not reading anything. You just speak. And I had been speaking, for over almost 2 hours without stopping, without needing a break, without even having to think about it. It just came out. And I said, because what I'm saying here is a match for what's here. It's who I am. I understand it in here, in my bones, in my body. It feels its truth here. So there's no hesitation when I speak it. There's no needing to be somebody other than me when I speak it. There's no trying to look a certain way when I speak it. Like, these videos are just me showing up, speaking. What you see with me is what you get. And that's such a freeing feeling when you can speak from a place that you feel your truth in your legs, and you feel your truth in your belly, and you feel your truth in your heart. And you can just show up and speak. And it takes practice because we are uncomfortable speaking. A lot of times we are uncomfortable saying, we are uncomfortable being seen. And so again, we're going back to subconscious, we're going back to the body, we're going back to your nervous system, we're going back to where you feel comfortable and what you believe about what you're here to do. Now, in your work, I believe that your creative voice has threads. So my work and what I've created has not always been the same, but there have been threads through everything, even from when I was little, writing or creating dollhouse boxes out of paper and shoe boxes, or in college creating like big collage papers. Even my first art class in high school, creating a collage, I remember, with like these yellow angels on this really dark cityscape. I wish I still had that painting. To now, like, still mixed media, still teaching collage, still evolving in ways of texture. Like, my threads from my voice have stayed the same. What I have made has blossomed into like so many different areas. I could not have pictured that. But the threads of what I am drawn to, the threads of what I choose, are the same. So you have threads running through your life, running through your work, that pull you, things that interest you, things that you want to talk about, things that you could talk about without ever getting tired, things that inspire you, things that you want to keep exploring, things that tick your fascination, things that you see and you want to keep diving into those, right? I will never get tired of looking at the parallel between nature and us, between the ways that we bloom and the ways that nature changes and blooms, the ways that we can cultivate power in our minds and bodies and our subconscious, and what does that mean in our lives. Like, those things I will never get tired of. Those are my threads, right? They pull me. Those things I could just keep doing, I could keep exploring. What are yours? And this is why we started with, what's your connection to inspiration? Like, what's your relationship to it? What's your personal connection? Because this is different for everybody. Your story is different from every other artist on the planet, and the way you create is different from every other artist on the planet. And what you're here to create, what you want to create, what you desire to create is different from every other person on the planet. When we understand that, you can start to really lean into your voice in a different way. You can start to really understand that your voice cannot be replicated, and you are not meant to speak or show up or create in the same way as somebody else. There's so much information out there on, this is the right way to do this. This is how to go viral. This is the hook you need. This is whatever it is. This is the story. But if you don't feel connected to it, it's not going to work for you. If you don't believe in it, if it doesn't feel natural or authentic to you, it's not going to work for you. Does that mean it's always comfortable? No. Showing up in new ways and showing up and creating things and being seen at new levels is not always comfortable, but there's a difference between discomfort and feeling like something is really not meant for you, feeling like this is a no in your body. This is not what I meant to do. This is not where I meant to go. That's different than learning something new and being uncomfortable. They're two different things. So creating might ask you to step out of your comfort zone, but crossing that no, this is not what I meant to do. This feels icky. And this is why so many creatives, I think, struggle to sell because they don't want to sell in traditional ways. They also need to be more confident that what they're offering has value, and that's a whole other thing. But like, we don't have to show up in the ways that we've been taught we have to show up. We get to decide, this is my voice. This is how I'm comfortable. This is what I want to do. Some people are better writers than speakers. Some people are more comfortable showing up speaking to a camera. Some people want to speak on stage. Some people want to work with big galleries, and some people want to have their art in a coffee shop where they can, be closer to every person in their community. Some people want to sell online. Some people want a faceless account. Like, there are a million ways to do it at this point, but you have to figure out what your way is. You have to probably try different ways to feel what your yes and no is and show up and figure out what your voice is. And your voice is allowed to evolve. Who you are is allowed to evolve. What you're here to do is allowed to evolve. What you're here to create is allowed to evolve. It's not always going to be the same as it was a year ago, or 3 years ago, or 5 years ago. Isn't that amazing? Like, we get to change. We get to change. We get to change. Your creative voice is what you're here to do, what you're here to say, and who you are. You do not have to offer up every detail about your life in order to be heard. You do not have to be screaming the loudest in order to be heard. You do not have to show up in ways that do not feel good to you in order to be heard. I offer you the question, what is it that you're here to say? I offer you the question, when you create something and you watch it back, do you feel like what you're saying matches your body? Are you fidgeting? Are you moving? Are you uncomfortable? Are you trying to make a joke out of it? Like, do you try to downplay who you are? Do you try to make it bigger? Do you try to be more professional? Do you try to make it look a certain way so that people will like it? Like, all of these things show up in our body differently. Versus your voice that comes from a place that is just you. Your voice that just comes from a place that doesn't need to be perfect. Your voice that comes from a place that understands that what you have to say is valuable and it's meant for the people that are meant to hear it and it's meant to do good things in the world and it's going to get better. You're going to get better at speaking. You're going to get better at showing up. Your creative voice is something you're going to be working on for as long as you're creating. So you might as well start. You might as well let yourself explore. You might as well let yourself get curious about what is it that I want to say? What would I say if nobody could get mad at me? What would I say if I thought everybody would be okay with it? What would I say if I felt like I didn't have to take it back? What would I say if I felt like I could really stand in front of 5 people, 10 people, 100 people, a stadium, and I had to talk? If I had a stage, what would I talk about? If somebody gave me a microphone and said, here's your stage, what would you say? What could you talk about for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour without stopping, without thinking about it? What could you say? That's your passion. That's what you're here for. It's time to really start speaking. Your assignment today is to ask yourself, what could you talk about for that long? What do you want to talk about? And go say it in some way, shape, or form. Write it out, paint it out, sing it out, speak it out. Let yourself start creating in a way that feels like you're using your voice and stretching your voice and speaking in the way you want to. And I'll see you tomorrow.